Hello, lovelies. Today is Sunday, January the 8th, 2023. And we are beginning Blue Eagle Wavespell. Blue Eagle is the final blue in the 260-day cycle. It's in the Green Castle and it's a mastery sign because it is number 15 and the planet is Jupiter. I have my assistant Harry with me today, so you may hear some background. I actually found that playing these meditative mind on YouTube really helps him to calm down. He's very interested today, aren't you, in the calendar? Because this is part of his tribe. He is a yellow sun. Oh, yeah, and a Taurus as well. So he's born in this cycle, this 260-day cycle. And so this is one of his tribal energies. But he's 8 months old now. And very inquisitive and has a lot of energy. So Jupiter. So we'll come back to that, more about Jupiter. But Jupiter basically is mastery. And as a planetary server, how I see this energy is really we become very amazing planetary servers when we get in touch with our star-seeded mission. And that's starting to happen in a big way at our Uranus opposition, which is around the age of 42. And so I've had some big insights about that in the last Wavespell of White Wind, which has been an amazing time. And this is how this calendar is meant to be used. It's very much a tool to get in touch with our cycles, our patterns, our codes, and to be able to really focus on those on a deeper level. Whenever we come to a blue, it's time for transformation. So this tribe is a very powerful tribe because it's about blood, the bloodlines. And if you want to check out one of the articles I've done in the past, flowwithjoe.com, if you look up burner days, and we had one of these recently, which was red self-existing serpent. It was in the White Wind Wavespell, day number 4. So going back 13 days, take 4. So a couple of weeks ago, it was a very big day. And these days were used and continue to be used by people who are aware of this as to controlling emotions on the planet around the general population. So historically, they would have been sacred ceremony days to harness the fear and transmute it. And this, again, is amazing awareness. We also have personal burner days. The more that we become consciously aware of all of these, we can work on a whole different level. So red serpent, which is a 52-day cycle on its own, and that 52 days covers how we relate and has 10 portal days going in and 10 portal days going out. So it's in blue castle. So again, remember, all of these work on the macro and the micro. So red is awakening, white is refining, blue is transforming, yellow is the manifestation, and green is separate in terms of the castles. We don't have that apart from in this process. We don't have that on a personal level. We don't have a green castle for ourselves. But once we come into the green castle, then we're really seeing how we have a bigger picture view of this, of what we've done up until now. And this is constant, it repeats eternally. And for us, it is repeating. So every 13 days, we go into a different colour: red, white, blue, and yellow. And every 13 years we do as well, which is why it's good to know your tribe. So red serpent is here with 10 akashic record days, which help us really work consciously around old patterning that's coming up. And again, these go back thousands and thousands of years, so help us really get in touch with our ancestral coding, which is white dog, which is a refining part of this tribe. And white dog is, again, if you watched my videos before, you will have heard me talk about this. So it's the epicenter of white dog, white cosmic dog, what needs to shift in our ancestral patterning so we can really connect to our soul tribe and do our amazing magical journey. Then we have Blue Eagle, and Blue Eagle is a transformation of the other two, so how we relate, how we change our ancestral patterning, and how we connect to the Sirius star so that we can do our star-seeded mission, which in plain language, isn't it great when you don't have triggers, when your heart is open and you're having fun doing what you love, what inspires you with other like-minded people, rather than stuck on Groundhog Day around people who don't know how to behave consciously, respectfully, lovingly, and you're repeating your childhood patterning with them where you've been bullied, where you've been disrespected, and all of that. So at this time of year, it's great to start looking forward towards what we want to achieve with the true start of the wheel of the year, which is the spring equinox on the 20th of March, usually. I haven't actually looked it up to see whether it is that this year, but you can always Google it, and it fluctuates around the 20th, 21st, depending on where the planets are. And then finally, we have Yellow Sun, which Yellow Sun is 20th Mayan sign, and that's the whole point of this, if you want to bring it down to a point, is to shine that light, connect to the galactic sun, free of the shadow story. So we're in Blue Eagle. And so this means we're in the last, as I say, blue, bigger picture overview. What have you got to master around being a planetary server? So where, for example, is Jupiter in your chart? Where is Jupiter on the planet? And at the moment, we have Jupiter is now going direct in Aries at 2 degrees. So again, working towards this spring equinox energy at this time of year. What are we going to want to initiate around our own personal journey? In this process of 13 days, so coming up, we have got, so we're on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, on Thursday next week, we have a portal day, which is Blue Overtone Storm, which I talked about in the last video. And so that's a great day for really focusing on mastery of being in our center, being free of our shadow story. And then next Saturday, we have another portal day, which is very important because it is the start of a 20-day cycle as well, which we'll probably, hopefully, do another video about that. Again, number 7 in the final 20-day process. And so what's resonating with what the Great Mother is bringing us to be free of our survival issues and to align with nurturing is the key. And very much what happened on the full moon in Cancer, what happened to you on that day, this was a very significant day for me. So that day was Red Crystal Skywalker, which is day 12 of White Wind Wavespell. And so for me, I had so many epiphanies, and it was the day of the epiphany. It was 12th night and the day historically for taking your Christmas decorations down. And so I really tuned in on that day. I had some amazing, inspiring ideas that I'm hoping to share with you soon as to what I'm going to be doing this year with other people as well. And I'm definitely going to be starting up again with my new moon, coming up with a new moon in Aquarius. And so I will be posting a video about that if you'd like to get involved. So we can set intentions, we can work consciously, and we can do some tapping to release triggers and focus on what needs to go so that we can be a lot clearer about our journey. So yes, what was happening for you on January the 6th, full moon at 16 degrees of Cancer? How are you nurturing yourself? How are you enjoying yourself in home? And these 16-degree full moons are so connected to our heart path and our journey. And of course, as I've said before, I work out my own personal codes. And when I work with people, I work out their codes so you can see where you are. And each time this circuit goes round, you can have amazing insights and tune in to what the universe is bringing you. It's a universal teaching tool. So on that day, as well as it being my Nan's Mayan sign, and I'm very much following my Nan's story, and we all are following our ancestors' story in some way. This also connected to when I was 42, which was back in 2007, and Uranus opposition. Uranus was then in Pisces, so there was a big transit there. And I'll post a link to that because if you're a similar age to me, so I was born in 1965, you would have been having a similar experience in some way. So it's when Uranus is in opposition to where it was when we were born, and white wind and red earth are connected to Uranus, and they're part of my tribe as a blue hand. And I'm in yellow human 13-year cycle right now. So when Uranus is in opposition around the age of 42, it can also be known as a midlife crisis. And it's often where we're shown things that aren't working for us in the human 3D story, time for maturation of our ego story. And Kundalini is pulled up our spine and our chakras in order to clear, so we can align with our spiritual path. So 2007 was an amazing year for me because I really connected to doing what I do now, which is alternative therapies. And I was doing lots of different training in NLP going to college to do body work, aromatherapy, quantum touch, Reiki. Yeah, it was an absolute fantastic time on so many levels, which also prepared me for what came next, which back at that time on a 3D level, I was doing property, renovation, and the bank crash, of course, was soon to come in my 13-year cycle of blue hand, which at the time was very challenging, but necessary. All of this is necessary to set us free. Now, the other thing that I worked out today that came up in my intuition was, again, I got asked this question a lot in my group and in people that I work with and on the videos sometimes. How do you work out your different cycles? Because every year you have a different Mayan sign within your 4 tribes. If you want a personal reading with me about this, please get in touch and I'll put a free consultation underneath to clarify, because it's handy to know if you're starting a 13-year cycle, it's very different to if you're ending one, and can give you a huge awareness around that. And so one of my ladies today is starting a 13-year cycle because it's her birthday today. And so we have our Mayan sign, and because this is a 260-day spiral, we only have this when we come in, so we're at age 0, and then it doesn't repeat until we are 52. And in the meantime, we go through these 13-year cycles, and that all depends on what number you are. So it's not straightforward to work out, but it's amazing once you do work it out. It makes a huge difference to your life, understanding where you are. And also if you work on the micro of these 13 days. So if, for example, today it's a great day to set an intention as to ask your universal self what your bigger picture plan is, and to give you more clues, more signs, more synchronicities as to how to connect to this. So every 105 days, we go into a different energy. So that's 5 lots of 20, and that's 8 lots of 13-day process for those who like numbers. And the significance of that is, again, you're doing that smaller wheel, which is red, white, blue, yellow. So if you're in a blue year, then you're going to be experiencing transformation. Depending on your personal tribe, you can go into more depth about that. And I'm just going to show you Blue Eagle today. So this is the Mayan Oracle. So again, you can stop this and you can look. And there's another page. Two pages. Stop that there. This is a great book to buy and highly recommend it because it's totally different to any other. Sorry, there's also that page. Okay, so in Mayan terms, it's men, M-E-N, eagle, cobweb, hope, commitment, compassionate service, global consciousness, dreams and visions, planetary mind, belief in oneself, gathering of eagles, third eye, violet flame, number 15, colour lavender. Herbs, Indian pipe, chickweed, nutmeg, flowers, heather, lilac. Flower essence, rock, rose, cistus, for vision. Scents, lavender, lilac, heather. Stones, amethyst, celestial crystals, lapilladite, singing crystals, element water, direction west. Shadow wisdom, being obsessed with service to others, being the rescuer, saving others, not being able to say no, loss of hope and meaning, feelings of futility. Shadow transformation, learn to temper service with nourishment and rest. Believe in yourself, follow your own visions and dreams. Remember the purpose and commitment you have in a larger pattern. Harmonic wisdom, flow. Mudra, hands cupped together at the heart, moving hands up over the eyes and then out to the sides as if soaring like an eagle. Meditation, feel the power of my mighty wings draw you near. Follow me to the one heart at the crystalline core. Affirmation, with vision and hope, I dance and sing here for the one heart. So we're in Red Moon at the moment, and the 52-day cycle of that, which is authenticity and being the beacon of light. Notice how you've been feeling over the last 26 days, because this is speaking to you of your transformation. Can you be authentic? Do you know what being authentic actually means? Do any of us know that truly? Moving more and more into authenticity often means going against mainstream, feeling uncomfortable, and becoming comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, because we've been conditioned to believe things about human beings that are not true. Also, we have lots of wounding there as well. Knowing how to use tools to help us move into authenticity and to feel those uncomfortable emotions and allow them to flow through us. That's really essential. An emotional freedom technique, check that out if you haven't yet, really helps us to do that. I'm going to finish up at the end of this video with a little meditation where I'm going to read from this so you can have a tune in. And I'm just going to share the codes for today. So the Mayan Oracle card, we have dissonance. And again, this energy, you could connect it to the previous Wavespell, which is yellow spectral human. What do we need as human beings to let go of? So on a personal level, on a collective level, how do we make changes? And how do we release energy? So in the last video, again, I talked about how our human being body works, how it's wired. If we have emotional trauma, then we have to learn how to let go. So intellectually, we can come to terms with things. We can say, okay, so for example, I know somebody's ill and they're going through a bad time in their life and it's not going to get any better. And that's happening to many people at the moment, because if you're my age, for example, you can be going through that transition yourself, because we've been living in a way that is harmful to human beings without really understanding that for a long time. We've sort of been guinea pigs around certain technologies, for example, certain foods, huge consumer businesses, without realizing just what damage it does to our bodies. And of course, when we're younger, a lot of the time we're not really bothered. We're just off there having fun, enjoying life. Or my generation was anyway, very hedonistic and being conditioned around how to enjoy life, especially through the media. You know, this is what you do when you have a problem, you have a drink, you get stoned, you don't feel your feelings, you don't move towards doing something differently by getting yourself out of a situation that's making you very unhappy. Of course, some people do, and they learn how to do that, but many people just stay stuck. I personally have been witnessing lots of energy around for a long time, many, many years now, of seeing how people can't cope with the world, and how, in my opinion, this leads to dementia and Alzheimer's as well. And if you understand, again, a different model around the human being, which is ancient, found in many cultures, starting to come a lot more mainstream now in Western culture. We create our own reality, and if we can't cope with life, we can block out and go into denial anything that causes us emotional distress. So understanding this process and realizing that, yes, I can say that I'm getting my head around a situation. Once we start to really understand how the body works, that's not how it works. And life would be a lot simpler. You could just go on a course or read a book and make a change that way. And part of that can be very healing. Talking to somebody, talking therapy can be the start of a great process of bringing the inside outside and feeling heard and sharing things. But on a deeper level, energetically, emotionally, if we don't heal that, we don't really let it go on a deeper level, then it's still within us and it's still working energy. So very much around anger, frustration, having a really good daily cleanse of that and letting it out is key as a planetary server. Emotional freedom technique, check it out if you haven't already. And just tapping every day for an hour, let's say for an hour, on something that's happened to you that day and clearing that off, and then seeing, okay, so where did that come from? Where is this coming from earlier in my life? Because this is the process with all of these frameworks, is we have to go back to cleanse and heal and go forward. And I'll come back to that in a minute with the planets as well, how that works and how that ties in this year. So our kit, 10 of Discs Wealth, and if you look at that, that's a great card, because again, if you look this up, this is a thought card. It has lots of planets on there. That's the process, how to manifest wealth. And that's on a very bigger picture scale. It's not just money. How to feel good. Remember, we're in the 260-day cycle of Taurus. What is manifest? And I'll come back to that in a mo. We have the Knight of Cups. Again, we've got Cancer there at the top. This can link into where that is in your chart. A Cancerian in your chart. Very key for me. And how we've learned how to do emotion. Prince of Discs. So again, we've got Taurus there. How to be a great manifester. And how to learn how to use YouTube so you don't get annoying adverts on. So we've got the Seven of Wands, which is Valor. And that's a very in-depth card as well, around how to be brave even when you feel scared. And the Empress, which is the card that I've got a couple of times in the past few days. A beautiful card with profound meaning. Number 3, which again connects to Blue Night, how to be a conscious dreamer. Okay, so let's rewind to the Taurus energy that we've got. And a lot of these planetary cycles, they go backwards. And it's quite interesting to map this on an experiential level. So again, if you go and learn something intellectually in a linear approach, which most of our education in the West is based upon that, you get a whole block of information. And then your mindset really works around leading you through that template, rather than if you learn with the Mayan calendar as and when it comes up, when it's the right time for you, when it's a planetary alignment, it's a whole different methodology. And again, this is what I offer you about using these systems is unlearning. So letting go of conditioned mindsets, letting go of old ways of learning, and aligning and learning with the universe. And again, it's like learning the tarot. If you learn it over a long period of time, again, a lot of the corporate model is a rush. You have to do things fast. You can't wait around for other people. You've got to be very pushy, dynamic, get this done today. And mastery does not come through taking several courses, within a couple of months. If you want to be a master, a mistress of something, this is going to take a long period of time. And because that's what it means. You become an apprentice, you become an initiate, then you become an adept, and eventually you start to master certain areas. And everybody's on this spiral in a different way. So somebody might be an expert on nutrition, for example. Somebody might be an expert on how to meditate. Another person might be on how to grow food. So we've all got our own personal gifts. It doesn't mean we're all consciously transcendent because of what the planets do either. It's we are conduits, and the more that we heal, the more we let go of unhealthy, very masculine focused, corporate focused ways of living, the more we can naturally attune to the sacred feminine gifts that we have deep inside on a cellular level, and we can unlock the secrets and connect to that universal source of wisdom, which is key to the Empress, of course. So currently we've got the North Node in Taurus, and that's going to change this year. So it's going to go into Aries. So again, that's running backwards. So the North Node is in its placement for 18 months. And your North Node is very important, because where your North Node is, that's where your spiritual path is in this lifetime. Where the South Node is where your past life was. So that's where things are very familiar. And often we stay stuck in that familiarity until, say, for example, our Uranus opposition around 42, where we get a whole different awareness if we're willing to do that. So free will is key in all of this as well. So we had North Node in Gemini, South Node in Taurus. These are all twinned on the axis. And then following on from that, we went into North Node in Taurus, South Node in Scorpio. So again, what we've been covering over this 260-day circuit since the 19th of May last year is what is manifest, and how did that come into being for us? How did we come to have what we have in our life, what we're experiencing? And then taking it deeper, how do we clear what is no longer serving us? So for example, with Scorpio energy and Taurus energy is really often about power struggles, where we have intimacy wounding. So for example, where we may have had challenges as a child with power struggles with people, And again, the more you know about your chart and the more you know about your family constellation, your ancestral patterning, this can really all help illuminate your path as to amazing aha moments of, oh yeah, that's why that happened. And that's why I continue to do X, Y, Z in relationship. The more you know about your partner, if you have one, and where their placements are, where their moons are, because the moon is the emotional story. And so we're reliving what happened with our parents, with our grandparents, with our significant other people. And if you're not doing that, for example, in a romantic relationship, you'll be doing it in a work relationship, in a friendship relationship. And the more you become consciously aware of that, it's so healing as well on one level, because you realize I have the power to change this now with these tools. I have the power to release these old patterns and really move away from being a child, feeling powerless, feeling that other people have authority, which again is what's happening massively on the planet now. We're starting to come into our own personal authority, or some people are, and what it feels like when we're not as well. So Jupiter will also go into Taurus this year. So it will shift from Aries into Taurus. And again, so everything we've been working with Uranus, what's been coming to light around what we value, what we love, what's practical, what's sustainable, what's free of bullshit, and, story. Lots of people very good at talking the talk and doing the story. But actually, when to use a biblical quote, know them by the fruits of their labors. So somebody may be very good at selling you a spin doctor story, but when you actually see what they have done in their life, when you look at their patterns, how they live, and this has always struck me a lot when I've been learning alternative therapies, is how my teachers live, and often they don't live what they teach. Very much that struck me when I was doing my NLP training as well back in 2007, was because I was doing lots of different things at the same time. So my focus was on healing. Other people really were there. Some of them were there for corporate because their corporation was paying for it. And for some, that was about learning how to communicate and manipulate really their team, their product, how to get it out there, how to use magical language. This is huge on the world stage. Lots of people have learned how to use very powerful strategies, and especially governments, especially in the UK as well, have been using these tools to create fear in people. They know how to get people to do what they want because they know how to press their buttons. And that's not on at all. People who are in service to the people who pay their wages. But what is happening is people who have a lot of money in the corporate sector are now deciding how things are, and they've circumvented that process of so-called democracy, so-called that people vote, etc. They vote in the right person. All of that's coming to light now around how that is not true. So all of this on the macro comes down to the micro, and each one of us has a storyline there to heal that. Now, if you look at your own personal code, and you don't need to be a master in astrology to do this either. It's finding a way to work with people to get the information and bring it down to a day-to-day level language that you can understand. So again, with any of these phrases that I'm using, you can just go out there and Google it. What does Uranus mean? That's how I learned a lot of the time, is when it came up, it was like, okay, you know, what's this planet? What does it do? And then I'd already got the chart. And, well, where is this in my chart? And instead of trying to learn it through somebody else's process, it was, I'm just going to be open to, as it comes up, I'll go and find that information, which is a very Uranian thing, you know. And I've got rising in Aquarius, which means I'm very alternative. I like information technology and all that that brings. And I do struggle with it at times, and I get annoyed when people just impose it on me and they don't show me how it works so that I can be free of codependency, so I can be independent and an independent learner. And that's so important now, to try and get to truth rather than distortions and manipulations and propaganda. So Google and find things out and use due diligence. That's the key. So Taurian energy is very much connected to the third eye and the sacral. Those two are twinned, and the sacral is very much about relationship, intimacy, and how we manifest our dreams, sexuality, how we create, literally. And so again, really going into that energy, your own birth process can be critical to this as well, understanding how you came into the world, and if you're a woman and you've had children, how you birthed your children. Today is my son's Mayan sign. And so this has been huge for me, and how I've changed my mother's pattern in some ways and not in others. So there's lots of different ways to look at this, and they're really fascinating. Now, in terms of my North Node, which I'll mention, my North Node is in Gemini, and so I revisited that. So we revisit this approximately every 18.5 years. This is useful to know, and I've done Persephone path groups on this for women. When I first intuitively started doing this, I did not know what that meant in terms of astrology, and that's come to light for me over many years of doing this. But when we're around 18.5 years old, we have our first North Node transit. When we're around 9 years old, we have our South Node transit, so big past life stuff coming up as well. And how to tie all of this in is, again, just mind-blowing. It just can change your life. You realize then, oh, wow, you know, this did happen for a reason. And often it's that, wow, I didn't do something wrong. And so that can be very healing as well, that these things have to happen to help us move out of these old patterns into new ones. So in terms of North Node, the more that we know about our own personal North Node, the more that we can start to focus on our challenge. And you can connect this to the Demeter story, the Persephone path story, that at this time of year in the Northern Hemisphere, this is a time for really healing old patterns around when we were 18.5 and around 36, 37, and so on and so on and so on. And once you know them, when the next one's coming around as well, you have a whole different awareness of what's coming in. This is conscious awareness. And so in terms of my mum's North Node, she has North Node in Virgo, and I have lots of Virgo energy more than anything else. I have Uranus in Virgo, and generationally, again, if you're the same age as me, you will have that. You will also have Pluto in Virgo in close proximity, which is, again, sacred feminine energy, how to change our mindsets, how to become healthy and disciplined and let go of worrying and being stuck. I have Venus in Virgo at 29 degrees, and this matches my mum's North Node. And having a North Node in Virgo is a challenging path. And again, this is tied very much into Chiron energy, our wound. And so again, if you haven't checked out Barbara Hand Clow, Liquid Light of Sex book, generally Barbara Hand Clow is an amazing astrologer, and she talks about so much more than that. So check her out. Life-changing for me, even though I didn't understand anything about astrology. A friend gave me her book, and just reading it at my Uranus opposition time was huge light bulbs going on. So you don't always have to understand the language. It's just the concept and the idea, and working your way through it if you choose to. So once we go into North Node in Aries, then we're going to have the South Node in Libra. And again, this is key to my Nan and my son, who's an Aries. And so my Nan knew about my son. She knew I was pregnant. And on the day of her funeral, I was having my first ultra scan for my son. So my Nan and her energy. So she had North Node in Pisces. And again, I'm just starting to work with this energy, which is the opposite of North Node in Virgo. So again, this is limitless what you can do with astrology as to depth of understanding, or not, whatever you choose. When I work with people, I work on current transits, and magically, usually people show up just at the time that they've got a major transit happening, or it's their Mayan day, or it's their Mayan sign. And I just love the synchronicities, and that just helps me believe more and more in the magic of the universe and trust the process, even when it's dark. And it is very dark at the moment in many ways, but we have to go through this to get the understanding in order to create something new, in order to transform it. So whatever's been happening for you in the past 26 days, now is the time, if you're brave enough and you're ready and you've got the tools, to start transforming it. Today is a magical day in respect of January the 8th. Lilith has gone into Leo. Lilith, again, Google her energy. She is a contrary Mary aspect in our chart. In terms of how this fits in with my chart, I've got Lilith in Aquarius, so it's the opposite for me. But what she brings for me as a Leo is, how do we have heart wisdom? So I'm just speaking intuitively now. How do we have heart wisdom which goes against our head and other people's conditioned mindsets as well? How do we know something? How do we feel it? That's the key. And if people are afraid to feel, they're switching off that very important energy, which is spirit, which is, the more that we heal, the more we can embody our spirit, the more we feel safe, we trust, we follow our instincts, and we know that our instinct is coming from a good space. It's not coming from a distorted head space. So this energy is until October. Finding out about your Lilith as well and where that is really good information, because that will make sense of things as well. Once we get to know about our energy and our cosmic codes and our template, we can understand as well why things have happened to us and why people have certain reactions to us energetically, even if we don't open our mouth or say anything, because the energy is what does everything. But we've been taught to believe, you know, that we have to do X, Y, Z. In the outer world, the shadow of Blue Eagle, we have to help everybody else. We have to, you know, it's not true. It's a coping mechanism of the ego, and it's also a deeply held corruption of the sacred feminine to try and make people serve other people for monetary gain and codependency and the dark, basically. So the more that we can let that go, and the healthier we become. So Blue Eagle takes us through this process, and tomorrow we have the challenge day, which is Yellow Lunar Warrior. So what came up in the Yellow Warrior? Wavespell, which was in the previous, you can see, yellow cycle, and you can cross-reference all these dates, and I do that in my ebooks for people. I put all the dates down so you can cross-reference and look at those, and then it makes it a lot simpler. It's still complex, but it makes it simpler, and it makes it so that you can use it. And so the challenge then, you know, what's the challenge on our heart path? What's the emotional story that keeps coming up over and over again? What have we got to master? And the planet is Saturn. So again, knowing where your Saturn is, we've got Saturn in Pisces. It's coming up as well in March. That's my Saturn return. And again, the structure of the dreams, good boundaries, Christ consciousness, addictions, how to bring our dream into being. Well, we've got to get off these old codependency things. We've got to get off these old habits that are making us sick. We need to feel we're safe. We need to feel we can cope with life. And how do we expand that so we can change our story? Because if we're buying into all this other story of it's not safe, and you know, there's these very dangerous things that can wipe us out, and we have to live a lesser life because of that, then what does that mean for the future of the human race? It's not any way of being that I want to live, that's for sure. Okay, so then on day 3, we have got red electric earth, and we go into resonant moon on that day. So we're in the last days now of rhythmic moon. We're going to go into resonant moon, and resonant moon, how are we resonating with truth and authenticity and being the beacon of light? Then we've got day 4, which is white self-existing mirror. And so how do we get free and clear of codependency? What's showing up in our holograph as a way forward for that? Then, as I said, we come on to day 5, which is blue overtone storm, Pluto, and akashic record day. How are we in our center? And following that, we have the completion of the 12th 20-day process with yellow rhythmic sun, how we're coming into balance. And actually that is Harry's Mayan day as well, as I'm saying that. So that's the magic as well. I just love how all of this comes together. So that's as far as I'm going to go on this wave spell, because I will do a 20-day cycle, the last cycle. Now back to what I said earlier, which is I'm going to be doing something for the new moon, which again, I just love this, how it all comes together. So the new moon is going to be on the final 13-day process, and that is yellow star, being the star that we really are, and Venus is the planet. So I'm going to be doing a special workshop on that day, and I will be doing a video for that too. Really excited. New moon in Aquarius. And what day is that? Let me just check. It's the 21st of January. It's Resonant Moon Day 12, and the new moon's in Aquarius at 1 degree. So put that date in your diary, and I will do a new video for that so that we can really connect to that and do some work together in a group. Love working in groups, especially with tapping. We can look at any limiting beliefs, anything that's coming up, that has been coming up over the past 260-day cycle around what is manifest and what we love. So how do we expand that? How are we holding ourselves back in some way so we can release that? And how to really get in touch with what we want to create now, ready for the spring equinox. Remember, the next cycle coming up is just after Imbolc. Imbolc's on the 1st of February. And so that's just that in-between place where the seeds are starting to sprout and we're getting ready for the next cycle. Okay, so let's just do a little meditation. So just take some nice deep breaths. And just place your feet on the ground. And bring that energy up from the earth. Bring it up your legs, your spine. Feel it move through your chakras and up to your crown chakra and open to the starry skies. Your higher self, your angelic being, your guides, your inspiration. Just feel that energy come in and bring it down the front of your body. Just note as you go down through your third eye, your throat, in your heart, in your solar plexus, your sacral, your root. Bring that down, bring that energy down, back down into the earth. And as you bring up that energy, breathe it in. And if you choose, keep running that loop. Up to the starry skies. Releasing, releasing. Connecting. I'm just going to read you connection to Blue Eagle from the Mayan Oracle. The magical child. I am men. The eagle's vision and dream. Gather about me, winged ones, to take your place upon the currents of our divine purpose. Soar with the flow of consciousness in my massive wings. Let us glide in the graceful expansiveness of planetary mind, carving out the pathway of timeless beauty for all to follow. Spread your precious wings, sweet blessed eagles of the new sun of flowers. Flow with me upon the shimmering crest of a new reality emerging, and together we shall create the joyfully awaited garden of the one world. Feel my song stirring in every cell, its refrain quickening you into resonance with the golden octave now sounding. Through the consciousness of the earth, Gaia singing like a crystal in the brilliant light of luminous love. Through you, Gaia, I am also transformed. I too am awakening. As the return of divine love and light, we are one. I am men. My gentle sound and touch ripple like waves of healing silk upon the wounded body of the earth. I am the crystal singer at the heart of the labyrinth, whose crystalline core magically transforms this vibration into the splendor of planetary mind. Hear my impassioned call, O radiant children of the sun. Lift me, lift with me the collective mind, for we are the awakeners, the transformers. Let the flowing beauty and power of my wings inspire you to ascend to our committed purpose. Find the gate of I cease, the place where there is no other. Remember, alliance of the faithful of the stars. Sun runners, your commitment to hold the light high in this time. Find the living consciousness of God, Goddess within you. Like a florid fountain, this place flows with the elixirs of compassion to create our ascended earth. Believe in yourself and your visions. Sing the sparkling song of hope. In a voice rich with the transforming power of your crystalline rainbow body, merge with the sublime vibration that lays the song of ecstasy ever so gently upon the yearning spirit of earth, Terra Gaia. This, my beloveds, is yours to do. Build thy inner and outer temples and adorn them with the precious gifts you have carried within you for so long. On the winds created by the movement of my mighty wings, hear me, feel me. Let us begin. And just focus on your connection. And remember, you can make this connection at any time, in any place. And bring the wisdom that your intuition guides you at this time. So lots of love. Bringing yourself back into conscious awareness, back into the room, and lots of love. We are the love that we seek. We hold everything within us. We have all the answers. The tools are here. We're ready to do this journey now for ourselves. All the challenges, all the problems are the solutions. I hope you have an amazing trip on your Blue Eagle 13-day process. See what is time to master for you, what's here to expand the wonder of it. Fly high, dig deep, first go within for the treasure you seek. If you'd like to know more about anything that I do, the workshop coming up on Yellow Star Day, please get in touch. And to help this channel grow, please subscribe and click like, and also click on the bell so that you'll be notified of any videos that I make. The more that you focus on helping the algorithm increase, it expands our circle of human beings who are ready to do this shift. Have deep gratitude for all of you. Thank you for listening to this video and watching it and connecting to me on an energetic level. See you soon. Bye for now.